In the literary classic A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens wrote, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was an epic of belief, it was an epic of incredulity. It was a season of light, it was a season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us, we had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, we were all going direct the other way." Dickinson could have very easily been describing this present period of chaos and confusion in our world. Had global businesses integrated horizon scanning into their risk mitigation processes, it is unlikely they would have experienced this level of catastrophe. I'm Dr. Rodney Woods, and beyond traditional risk management, integrating horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization will be the topic of our discussion today. We will examine how this integrated framework approach addresses emerging issues and trends and the risk to the company. We will also examine how leaders may confidently apply this framework to construct a solid strategic plan. Our agenda will focus on the following 6 topics: a brief history of horizon scanning and risk management, the definition and evaluation of risk velocity, an overview of the integrated process of horizon scanning and risk prioritization, an assessment of information, the strategic implication and results, and conclusions and next steps. Dr. Dan Borge, a financial expert and former aeronautical engineer who designed the RORAC, the risk management system, and wrote the Book of Risks, stated that the purpose of risk management is to improve the future, not to explain the past. Risk management is an overarching umbrella that includes both risk assessment and risk analysis. It encompasses the identification, analysis, evaluation, and prioritization of current and potential risk of emerging issues, challenges, and opportunities. Risk management enables leaders to anticipate loss, monitor risk control, and audit financial resources to minimize possible adverse effects. In short, a solid framework for integrating horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization strategy allows leaders to maximize the realization of available opportunities to avoid risk. The global pandemic and resulting ongoing supply chain issues demonstrate how poor connections between data on emerging issues and the credible strategic decisions continue to plague businesses worldwide. This roundtable talk summarizes recent efforts to integrate horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization approaches to better connect the emerging issues and challenges to strategic risk. We will explore how to build confidence in using horizon scanning for risk-stratified strategic planning. Before we begin, let's go back in time and see how horizon scanning and risk management has evolved. It's vital to look back and learn from the past, and this exercise will thus be beneficial. Coles et al. 2015 defined horizon scanning as the, quote, systematic outlook to detect early signs of potentially important developments. These can be weak or early signals, trends, wildcards, or other developments, persistent problems, risks, and threats, including matters at the margins of current thinking that challenge past assumptions. In other words, horizon scanning is like the radar that identifies concealed icebergs that threaten to sink a ship. As the ship's captain or first mate, you are responsible for deducing information from the radar to set a safe course for your ship. Despite the obvious advantages of horizon scanning, few organizations have implemented this technique, much to their own detriment. The history of horizon scanning can be traced back as far as 475 BCE to Sun Tzu, a Chinese military general, strategist, philosopher, and writer who is best known as the author of The Art of War, an enduring book on military strategy that has influenced both the Eastern and Western philosophy, military, and business thinking. The phrase horizon scanning was first used in the context of future studies in 1995 in a paper addressing trends in information technology and predicting the year 2005. Then, in September of 1997, a European workshop comprised of 27 policymakers and academics from 12 countries utilized horizon scanning for the identification and early evaluation of healthcare technology. Horizon scanning was primarily aimed at policymakers and service planners in the healthcare industry. Today, however, horizon scanning is utilized across a broad spectrum of corporations, organizations, and governments to discover emerging threats and opportunities. It is widely valued as a method for detecting and identifying innovation, trends, and other signals of change through the methodical investigation of reputable sources. A horizon scan allows time for appropriate actions before the full effect of change are realized. The data acquired during horizon scanning is crucial when formulating strategy or responding to changes, such as natural disaster, political instability, and uncertain market forces. Professor Donay noted that, quote, risk management aims to create a reference framework that allows companies to handle risk and uncertainty. His objective was to highlight the importance of moving the academic study of risk management from insurance to other business sectors that experience uncertainty, loss, and economic impact. Looking at a brief history of risk management, it underwent its rebirth during the Renaissance period from 1400 to 1600 AD, when people began to release themselves from the constraints of the past and openly challenge sacredly held beliefs. The enigma of mirrors challenged the renowned mathematician Blaise Pascal in 1654 to unravel a conundrum posed by Piccololi 2 centuries earlier. The solution to the enigma of Piccololi made it possible for humans to make judgments and forecast the future using numbers for the first time. Then in the 18th century, the pioneering work by Bernoulli in probability and statistics, along with the Bain's work on probability inferences, laid the groundwork for years to come. In 1952, a young 25-year-old economist, Harry Markowitz, published an original paper that radically changed how risk and returns can be measured. Markowitz's theory, called the modern portfolio theory, or means variant analysis, is a mathematical framework for assembling a portfolio of assets such that the expected return is maximized for a given level of risk. He formalized the diversification of investing, the idea of owning different financial assets and less risky ones than owning only one type. His work laid the foundation for how we think about risk and investment decisions today. Today, risk universe is expanding and changing. It is constantly growing and transforming, with technological innovation, strategic process, on the other hand, and globalization and development and human activities on the other, which leads to the emergence of increasingly complex interdependencies. We will now concentrate on identifying and comprehending how to evaluate risk. Risk philosophy is defined by Ramachandran as, quote, the rate at which a risk may have an impact on an organization. When you look at risk philosophy, it can be determined qualitatively, either as high, medium, low, etc., or quantitatively in hours, days, months, years, etc. Other sources of risk with low velocity include those that can be resulting from gradual loss of market share to competitors or reputational risk with a long-term horizon. In contrast, social media and the 24-hour news cycle has altered the velocity of reputational hazards. Matrices, also known as risk severity matrices, can help leaders prioritize risks. Once the severity and likelihood of the risk has been established, a leadership team can choose the sequence in which they will be addressed. Color coding facilitates risk ranking visualization. The zones indicate at a glance which threats should be prioritized. In this section, we will examine the framework that governs the process of integrating the concept of horizon scanning with strategic risk prioritization. The framework combines a data-driven approach of horizon scanning with rapid risk prioritization matrix, assessed to quickly help leaders to build focus and consensus to identify emerging threats, challenges, and opportunity. The acceptability and categorization of risk can increase the organization's ability to create the appropriate strategy to either mitigate or take advantage of the information being assessed. The benefit of this framework will not be realized if response development is inadequate. Risk management will be more meaningful and efficient if strategic plans can be implemented based on the prioritization of risk exposure, effective resource allocation, and time to impact. When properly designed and carried out, this framework, the combination of horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization, will elevate survival from a matter of instinct to an art. I will now give a quick overview of evaluating data gleaned from horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization integrated framework. Utilizing the integrated framework, organizations are given the superpower to spot trends, threats, and opportunities before they emerge into mainstream and identify key strategic actions to shape desirable futures proactively. The core functional steps for assessing information are as follows. Step 1, intelligently gather information. Step 2, transform the data into knowledge. Step 3, prioritize the knowledge into relevance. And Step 4, evaluate the relevant information for risk philosophy and maximum impact on creating the appropriate mitigating or advantageous strategy. If leaders are to integrate, prioritize, and guide their strategic perspectives and anticipate future events, they will need the framework to activate their situational awareness in doing so. Therefore, the purpose of the combined framework of horizon scanning strategic risk prioritization is to raise the level of situational awareness inside the business. Let's examine how adopting a framework like horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization might affect your company's long-term strategy. Noting the strategic implications of implementing the framework will help leaders design strategies that are flexible and adaptable. This is especially important now that more and more firms are aware of the complexities and inherent uncertainties associated with the future. First and foremost, the framework provides a comprehensive view of the future trends for a leader to make informed decisions. What's on the horizon, what changes will be helpful to your company, and which ones will cause disruptions. The ultimate goal of this structure is to 1. Provide greater insights into emerging trends, improve resource efficiencies and potential cost savings outcomes, and increase focus on determining the impact on the organization's governance and operating framework. The framework properly alerts users to the presence of anything potentially dangerous, novel, or changing to identify risk and opportunities associated with these occurrences. In this roundtable discussion, I introduced the horizon scanning and strategic risk prioritization framework, and I've described its purpose, methodology, and benefits. I'd want to summarize what was discussed thus far and offer some suggestions for moving forward. In conclusion, as the world deals with rapid technological and demographic shifts, it's more important than ever to integrate horizon scanning with strategic risk prioritization. Today's leaders need to do a better job focusing on the future risk and opportunities as owners of this framework in the risk management process. Next steps would be assess your situation first, consider quickly obtained information, beyond your company and sector, think creatively, map change drivers to inform strategy and delivery, and create peer groups and collaborate. Again, my name is Dr. Rodney Woods, and I'm happy to have had this opportunity to talk about some of my favorite topics and ongoing work in the field of horizon scanning and risk prioritization. Thank you.